Kristen is a middle-aged woman who is currently having a breakdown. Her son is going off to college, so it's basically the end of the world for her. You'd think the man-child-looking dude is her eldest son, but nope, that's her husband Paul, who still thinks that he has a shot of making it big with a band. Kristen works at a marketing firm, where she is trying to push some hair regrowing cream to chemo patients, but the board members are like F cancer, let's market to insecure men with lots of money. After a long day, Kristen gets home to a phone call from Italy, calling her by her maiden name, Balbano. The woman, Bianca, tells her that she has terrible news, as her grandfather has died, and the family needs her to fly to Italy as she was mentioned on his will. Paul is causing a loud racket downstairs, so Kristen goes to check, only to see Paul desperately trying to get me demonetized, banging their son's guidance counselor. Paul then has the nerve to say he has an illness, all he wants to do is bang, just not Kristen. Kristen then goes to what appears to be a self-defense class, where she tells her friend Jenny about Paul cheating on her and the call she got from Italy. She's not sure if she wants to leave her life behind, but Jenny tells her she needs to get banged and maybe she'll find a cute man there, so she agrees. Meanwhile, they're doing some gun self-defense moves they learnt from the Detroit urban survival guy. Kristen gets packed and arrives in Italy, where she bumps into a guy named Lorenzo and his aunt Esmeralda, and she instantly falls for the guy. Lady, get your kitty cat on a leash for God's sake. The two talk for a bit and she gives him her number before he leaves. Another car then pulls up and two men, Aldo and Dante, pick her up to bring her straight to her grandfather's funeral. They arrive at the church where she meets Bianca and Fabrizio, who is not so pleased to see her. After the funeral, they walk through the streets carrying the coffin, where Kristen learns that her grandfather was a winemaker. As they walk, suddenly, there is gunfire and the procession comes under attack from the rival Romano family. There is chaos everywhere, the coffin gets ripped to shreds by bullets while Fabrizio, Aldo and the other Balbano family members run for cover and return fire. Two bikers come charging and opening fire, but Dante causes the men to crash. There is a foot chase as the Romano hitmen chase after the Balbanos. Kristen is shitting herself but manages to stay with the family and they make it back to the car and drive away. They get back to the Balbano mansion where Kristen demands to know what is going on. Bianca tells her that her grandfather was murdered by the Romanos during a meeting where their Don was also killed, and you know they don't like these dudes. Bianca plays for Kristen a video from her grandfather, who reveals to her that her father was killed by the Romanos. He then shocks Kristen by revealing that his dying wish is that she take over the Balbano family as the new boss, with Bianca as her general. Fabrizio cannot accept this and neither can Kristen, who just wants to go back home to a normal life. Just then, she gets a call from Lorenzo, but Dante smashes her phone, telling her she cannot be talking to strangers now that she is boss. Kristen still insists and packs her things to leave, but Bianca stops her, telling her that she does not know her way, does not have a phone, and she is now a target of the Romano family. Kristen is stressed out, so Bianca takes her wine stomping. Bianca insists that she take over as the boss and represent them at the meeting with the Romanos' Don Carlo, where they will discuss splitting up territory. Kristen refuses, but when Bianca offers her a new cell phone so she can go bang Lorenzo later, she happily agrees. Kristen gets herself dolled up, really bringing out that inner cougar. Even Fabrizio gives those cheeks a glance. Kristen arrives at Don Carlo's place with Aldo and Dante as her guards. Don Carlo comes in disappointed that he is meeting with an American woman. But when he learns that she is the new Balbano boss, he begins to butter her up. He asks her about the territories they want, and Kristen tells him the territories he will receive, but he is clearly not pleased. Nevertheless, Carlo continues to hit on Kristen, who clearly has forgotten about Lorenzo, and just plans on banging the first Italian she gets her hands on. Carlo invites her back to his hotel room, where each other's guards search them to ensure they're clean. The cougar instantly pounces, but her middle-aged body wants to pee first, so she leaves for the bathroom. Once she leaves, we see Carlo pour 2 glasses of drink, then begin to pull. Wait, bro, what are you doing? Stop. This dude pulls a vial of poison from his butt, and at this point he just needs to rub his finger on the glass and that would do the trick. Kristen comes back out and he offers her the drink, but Carlo gets a message from his guards outside, wanting to know if they should kill Dante and Aldo. Once he gets back, the two finally share the drink, then get back to fooling around. Carlo suddenly reveals that he poisoned her drink and at any moment she should feel it working. Kristen begins to freak out. He also reveals that his uncle killed her father, but suddenly he starts to feel ill. Turns out, Kristen switched the drinks while he was on the phone and he dies on the bed. Her first thought is to call her friend Jenny back in America, telling her what happened. Kristen then throws up on Carlo's dead body and the guards outside hear the commotion, and from inside Kristen hears gunshots and plays dead when the door opens, but it turns out to be Aldo and Dante come in to save her. Later, they dispose of the bodies. And Kristen learns from Bianca that she also banged Carlo and he screams like a bitch when he hits it. "Let the man die in peace, please." Bianca warns her that now she cannot leave as she has killed a mob boss, to which they all congratulate her. Fabrizio then cuts off Carlo's hand, puts it on a platter with a little love, then sends it to the Romanos. Carlo's cousin Mamone doesn't care one bit, but now declares himself boss. He then calls Bruno, who looks like he ran all the way there with that hair, and sends him off to kill Kristen. At the Balbanos, Fabrizio is insisting that they need to strike first, but is fed up with Kristen's lack of mafia attitude. The Romanos want more territory, which Fabrizio is not inclined to give away as it would cut into their profits. They show Kristen all the illegal activities they are involved in, but Kristen wonders why there are no legal businesses. Fabrizio gets fed up and storms out, so Kristen decides that she wants to go and visit Lorenzo. She turns up at his house with Aldo and Dante. He shows her his own pasta line he has developed and they have it for dinner. Meanwhile, Esmeralda is killing Aldo with pasta despite his pleas that he is full. At one point, I think he even considered shooting her to make her stop. Kristen and Lorenzo are eating when she begins to reveal that she has a son, which really scares Lorenzo as he is just 33. The two try to share some alone time, but Kristen gets a reminder that she has a work Zoom meeting and rushes out with her cousins. When they get back home, Aldo gets a call that his mother has fallen ill, so Kristen sends them off to check on her. She gets in and is preparing for her meeting, not noticing Bruno behind her with a gun. Kristen is on her Zoom meeting, but her bosses are not feeling her presentation, so they mute her, not even realizing that she is currently fighting for her life, as Bruno attacks her instead of just shooting her and leaving. Bruno tells her that she's more attractive than her grandfather. Wait, pause. He drags her to the couch and is planning to get himself some cheeks, but while he is fiddling with his belt, Kristen pulls out that Detroit urban survival technique with her heels, before finishing him off by stabbing him in the eye. She gets back to her Zoom meeting where her bosses finally turn their attention to her and see her wobbly and think she is drunk, so they fire her on the spot. Kristen cleans up and leaves Bruno on the floor and heads back over to Lorenzo's place, where she finally gets her kitty cat wet. The next morning, Dante and Aldo track her down to bring her home. Bianca tells her that she has a meeting with the Romanos today. She meets with Mamone and his men, who are impressed that she was able to kill their boss and their best hitman, and they agree to a truce. Later, Kristen is sitting alone out, when Fabrizio comes by on some Sweet Home Alabama shit, saying he is impressed at what she did. He then gives her one of the family's rings, telling her that she is now one of them. After he leaves, Bianca comes by on some same creepy shit, telling Kristen that she knows she is a good person, and she can be a mafia boss and be good at the same time. This gives Kristen an idea and she begins to change the family business, stealing medication and selling it at a low cost and actually working on developing the family's wine business, all while developing her relationship with Lorenzo. A few months later, Kristen and Lorenzo are walking along the beach, when she snaps a photo and posts it, and immediately she gets a call from her son wondering who the new guy is, but she lies saying he is just a friend. Lorenzo is disappointed because he wants to be more than a friend, but suddenly Aldo and Dante are forced to hold a man back. It turns out to be Paul, who flew all the way Italy to find her. Lorenzo is shocked to hear that she is married and Kristen orders her cousins to take Paul back to her place. Lorenzo wonders what else she is hiding from him, but Kristen apologizes and leaves. Kristen goes back to see that her cousins have tied up Paul. They slap him around for not showing respect to their Don, and Kristen demands to know why he is here. Turns out, dude ran out of cash when Kristen left her job and he came to live with her. Kristen has had enough and orders that they take him back to the airport and send him home. Later, Kristen and Bianca are talking when she reveals that she wants out of the mafia life, for a chance to have a normal one with Lorenzo. She has one last meeting with the Romanos who want to discuss business, so Kristen along with Fabrizio turn up. It turns out, the Romanos have a problem with Kristen's pharmaceutical business as she has all the inspectors on her payroll. They demand that she pay over a percentage of her business to them, but Kristen suddenly announces that she will be stepping down and Bianca will be taking over. The Romanos think that she is pulling a fast one on them and there is a standoff. Suddenly, cops barge into the room and it turns out, Lorenzo and Esmeralda are cops, ordering everyone to stand down. Shots begin to ring out and Lorenzo rushes to get Kristen, and Esmeralda gets two Uzis and begins to shoot at the men, especially at Aldo for not eating that pasta. Kristen is disappointed with Lorenzo and tries storming away, but he arrests her and the cops take everyone away. For her trial, Jenny flies to Italy to represent her. Based on how she deals with the people around her, they all have good things to say about her and only talk about her wine business and how she helps people. After some bullshit legal proceedings, Kristen is found not guilty and set free. Lorenzo tells her that he still loves her, but Kristen admits that she was listening to her kitty and not her heart and leaves. She gets back home only to see Dante shot and bleeding out. She gets a text from Bianca saying she is injured and Aldo gives her a gun to go and check. Kristen runs to see Fabrizio holding Paul and her son at gunpoint. He reveals that Bianca is dead because he wanted to be the boss. He points his gun at her son, so Kristen jumps into action battling him, eventually kicking him in the nuts. Bianca turns up revealing that she was shot but did not die. Fabrizio manages to grab his gun and shoot at them before making his escape. Once her kid is safe, she goes looking for Fabrizio, who manages to hold her at gunpoint. Kristen hits him with some hot steam and he rushes at her but ends up falling over the edge and into a grinder. Kristen is freaking out but manages to calm herself and make her way out. Kristen returns to the mansion and announces that she wants to stay in Italy and run the family. Mamone is chilling with his boys when they get a gift from Kristen, a note warning them to stay away and a wine bottle with Fabrizio's finger inside. As her son and Paul leave, he asks her if she is really mafia, but Kristen admits to just being in the wine business. As he leaves though, he sees people come to pay respect to his mother and kiss her ring, but she still has time to remember to make trail mix for her son's flight back home. Remember to turn on notifications, so you can watch more movie recaps like this. Thanks for watching.